The Blonde Blueprint, Choosing Beauty and Race. Welcome back. I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author. This is the Designer Babies series, reprogramming humanity, one genome at a time. Let's talk about something most people are afraid to say out loud. When parents are given the power to choose traits for their children, one of the first things many want to change is how that child looks. Not how long they'll live, not how healthy they'll be, not what they might achieve, but how they'll appear. Eye color, hair texture, skin tone, facial symmetry. This episode is about aesthetic selection. It's about the growing demand for cosmetic genetics. And it's about what happens when we start designing humans based on ideals, especially racialized ones. The designer baby industry would like you to believe it's about curing disease, about saving lives, about eliminating suffering. But beneath the surface, behind closed doors at fertility clinics and donor agencies, the most common requests aren't medical. They're visual, requests for blonde hair, blue eyes, fair skin, thin noses. These aren't random preferences. They are remnants of a racialized beauty hierarchy that's been globalized, packaged, and quietly built into the DNA marketplace. Let's begin with the egg and sperm donor industry. In countries like the United States, Canada, and across Europe, the most expensive and in-demand donor profiles are almost always white, often Scandinavian or Northern European, with blue or green eyes, fair skin, and specific facial features. When intended parents browse donor databases, they're not just looking at genetic health markers. They're often filtering by physical attributes: race, eye color, hair color, height. And donor agencies know this. Many offer advanced search tools to match these preferences exactly. It doesn't stop with donors. Pre-implantation genetic testing, originally developed to screen for diseases, is now being used to select among embryos based on projected appearance. Polygenic prediction tools are being marketed not just for reducing risk of illness, but for increasing the chances of desirable traits, including facial symmetry, projected BMI, and even hair color probability. We are rapidly entering a space where beauty is not just judged, it's pre-ordered. And beauty in this context isn't subjective. It's been shaped for centuries by colonization, marketing, and media. What we call attractive has been narrowly defined and exported worldwide. Thin, tall, light skin, Eurocentric features. And now we are encoding those preferences into biology. What happens when we start selecting for aesthetic ideals? When the most desirable embryos are those that align with outdated, exclusionary standards? When being born with dark skin, or tightly curled hair, or non-Western features becomes less likely, not because nature changed, but because someone made a decision? Let's be honest. This isn't a dystopian warning. It's already happening. Clinics are reporting increased demand for cosmetic screening. Parents are requesting blue-eyed donors. Agencies are charging premiums for model-type profiles. And as gene editing progresses, the possibility of altering not just traits, but the perception of racial identity, becomes more and more real. This is racialized reproduction by design. It's not state-mandated, like in past regimes. It's privatized, individualized, packaged as freedom. But it creates a silent genocide of diversity, a slow erasure of features that fall outside the dominant aesthetic algorithm. And here's where it gets even darker. As technology improves, the temptation to create visual conformity increases. Why settle for chance when you can optimize? Why accept unpredictability when a lab can offer you a projected beauty score? Why risk being the parent of a child who doesn't fit the mold? Beauty becomes a measurable trait, an editable line of code, and the child is no longer born into the world. They are curated to match it. We have to ask, what happens to a generation raised on aesthetic expectation? What happens when children grow up knowing they were selected to look a certain way? Will they feel pride or pressure? And what happens when they don't live up to the projected promise? If the hair color darkens, if the eyes shift, if the beauty never lands? This isn't theoretical. This is psychological warfare at the cellular level. These children will grow up knowing that part of their existence was chosen based on how pleasing they might be to look at. And what does that do to the concept of love, of parenting, of acceptance? We have been told that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but that was before the beholder had access to gene prediction software. This trend doesn't just impact the children who are selected, it impacts those who aren't. What happens to naturally conceived children born with features society now views as less desirable? What happens to Black and brown children in communities where lighter traits are being prioritized in labs? What happens to children born into bodies that weren't curated, just created? The divide between designer and natural will not just be medical, it will be aesthetic, a visual hierarchy of value. And beauty will no longer be the mystery of nature. It will be the product of preference and the result of resources. Let's talk about that economic angle. Because enhancement is not cheap. The ability to choose, filter, and eventually edit physical traits will belong only to the wealthy. And that means we're heading into a world where the privileged will literally look different. Better teeth, clearer skin, taller, thinner, more symmetrical, more aligned with global beauty standards. Not through discipline or luck, but through biology as a service. And what happens to those who can't afford it? What happens to natural beauty when curated beauty becomes the norm? The system won't have to reject you. It will simply ignore you. You won't be featured. You won't be cast. You won't be seen. Because visual algorithms will begin filtering people before they even speak. This is not about vanity. This is about control. Control over visibility. Control over legacy. Control over whose genes survive. And let's address the spiritual level. The soul is born into a body for a reason. There is power in variation, in unpredictability, in the unexpected combination of ancestry. When you reduce life to visual optimization, you rob it of its sacred surprise. You flatten the human canvas. You erase the magic of divergence. Some will argue this is harmless, that parents have always cared about appearance, that this is no different from hoping your kid gets your good skin or your spouse's dimples. But hope and selection are not the same. Hoping is human. Selecting is strategic. This isn't about influence, it's about intention. When you begin life with a filtered blueprint, it changes the relationship between parent and child. It shifts the root of value, and it sends a message. You were picked to look like this. And if that look fades, or never materializes, does the love hold? We are entering a dangerous aesthetic arms race, and the finish line is conformity. If everyone begins choosing similar traits, the global gene pool will narrow, diversity will shrink, mutation, the engine of adaptation, will slow, and we'll be left with a world of curated sameness, disconnected from nature, and addicted to surface. The deeper issue is that beauty, once selected, becomes a commodity. And commodities lose their soul. We are not meant to all look the same. We are not meant to match a template. We are meant to reflect variation across regions, cultures, histories, and lineages. But when the body becomes a product, the most profitable traits rise, and all others fall into statistical disfavor. Already data from donor banks show that certain races and facial features are underrepresented. Already, pricing tiers exist based on looks. Already, people are being reduced to genetic portfolios, and sold as such. And once gene editing advances further, what happens when we can splice melanin levels, change eye structure, reassign ethnic traits to match beauty expectations? Do we erase identity in the name of aesthetic alignment? Do we breed out resistance? This is the future of beauty selection, not just a mirror, but a map. And if we follow it blindly, we won't like where it leads. Because when appearance becomes programmable, we lose more than mystery. We lose meaning. The human face isn't meant to be a barcode. It's meant to be a story of ancestry, of experience, of evolution. And when that story is overwritten by trends, by markets, by apps, what's left? Perfection without soul, symmetry without substance, beauty without origin. We must choose now whether the next generation will be born of reflection or replication, whether they will inherit our features or our fear of them, whether we will honor the unpredictability of life or retreat into design. Because the blonde blueprint isn't just about color, it's about conformity. And conformity, when encoded, becomes extinction, not all at once, but one trait at a time. Hi, I am Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and SOS, School of Soul has a brand new series, the AI and Future Technology series. Look, you know the world is changing, and no, it's not going back to normal. Normal is over, and what's coming next is beyond anything we were prepared for. The School of Soul, AI and Future Technology series includes 319 videos on 1. The Download Society, How Data Has Replaced Destiny. 2. Predictive Future. Your next moves aren't random, they're forecasted. 3. Social Credit Systems. The behavioral economy now governs access. 4. Hive Mind. Synthetic telepathy and collective algorithmic control. 5. Nanobots inside you. Medical, military, and programmable intrusions. 6. Grief Tech. AI-fueled digital resurrection and simulated comfort. 7. Uploading your mind, consciousness transfer, and data-based identity. 8. Deep fakes plus AI clones, the replication of reality and identity theft. 9. Quantum humans, the merger of biology with quantum systems. 10. Digital afterlife, where your data goes when you die. 11. Resurrection science, reviving life through synthetic methods. 12. Immortal science, the end of death as we know it. 13. Longevity science, gene editing, anti-aging, and bio-upgrades. 14. Designer babies, engineered perfection before birth. 15. Artificial wombs, birth decoupled from the female body. 16. 3D printing, printing organs, limbs, and even humans. 17. The humanoid era, the rise of synthetic beings among us. 18. Legacy humans, the slow phase-out of unmodified analog people. 19. Smart cities, algorithmic environments that watch and decide. 20. Cloud-based societies, citizenship without borders or bodies. 21. Hackable humans, emotion, memory, and behavior under code. 22. Biometric scanning, your body is your password and your prison. 23. Sex tech, intimacy reprogrammed by machines. 24. Extinction of gender, fluidity, deletion, and design of identity. Every topic is fully explored with real-world technologies, patents, case studies, ethical analysis, and future forecasts. These aren't someday discussions. This is already happening. Join the SOS School of Soul Vault to overstand the future before it's implemented on you.